You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get sad again.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. Man, I love that song, don't you? Madison Rising just doesn't get any better than that. We got a lot to do. Got an hour to cover it. Big announcement right off the bat. Following my show tonight and a short break, I will be joining the Red Wine Show on AltCon. You can jump over to, let's see, that'd be Hammy's timeline. That's at E2 Pilot, and get a link to their show. It starts right after mine. Sorry, it is a different network, but no one follows me on this station anyway. So anyway, it will work out perfect.
Shut up. A lot of people follow you. Quit being weird.
Well, I just meant like immediately in the time schedule.
Oh, I get you now. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah, anyway. So no harm, no foul. you get a double dose of the Grouch tonight if you swap over to AltCon right after my show and join me with the Red Wine. That is at the Red Wine, spelled WHINE. We don't really whine over there, but we do let it hang out, kind of like it does here. So anyway, it's Wednesday. Nevada was last night, the Nevada caucuses. And of course, we all know by now that Trump won. He took 45.9% of the vote. We'll just go ahead and say 46. We'll round up and down appropriately on the above half and below half percentages. Marco Rubio finished second with 24% and Ted Cruz third with 21%. A little disappointing for Cruz, I think. I think Cruz does a little better on Super Tuesday with the SEC primary, but I don't know. I mean, Ted Cruz right now, money-wise, is sitting pretty flush. He can ride this out pretty much to the end if he wants to. I know he's got over $18 million in the coffers, and there are still donors out there whipping out the checkbooks, at least for now. So I don't know where Rubio's money stands. They're a little more tight-lipped about his situation, but you've got to figure that the donors that are bailing from Jeb's campaign are going to Rubio. I just can't imagine who else they'd be going to. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense anywhere else. Maybe the stray straggler to Carson or Kasich, but for the most part, they got to be going to Rubio. Speaking of which, Ben Carson finished 4.8%. We'll call him 5. And John Kasich, governor of Ohio, who should have dropped out of this race long ago, finished with 3.6%. We'll round him up to 4. Kasich is running on fumes in the war chest department. He has about $2 to $3 million on hand, is what the insiders are saying. He is really struggling to get to make it to the Ohio primary. I don't know why he's so worried about getting to the Ohio primary. It's not like something is going to happen in Ohio that's just going to ignite his campaign and set him on fire over everybody else. Kasich needs to swallow the big spoonful of reality, along with the good doctor, Ben Carson. That's right. Take the medicine you're prescribing, Dr. Carson. It is time for you and Governor Kasich to simply bow out, be good, humble, and like you have been, tip your hat to who's left. And then we focus on who's left, a 3-man race. A 3-man race with Cruz, Rubio, and Trump. Now, there are all kinds of tinfoil conspiracy theories going around out there about how Rubio isn't attacking Trump because Trump is actually helping prop his campaign. Like there might be a little backroom deal maybe on a Trump-Rubio ticket. I just don't know. If that is the case, if that unfolds, I would be so terribly disappointed in Marco Rubio that I don't know that he could recover from that. Not that he cares about my disappointment, but I have a feeling there'd be a lot of other people out there that would share that disappointment. Ted Cruz will never join the Trump ticket. Ted Cruz has a great job. Ted Cruz could possibly, if the Senate maintains its testicular fortitude and stops any Obama nominee from getting to the Supreme Court, and we actually put a GOP president in office, Ted Cruz could be the pick to go to the Supreme Court. Who knows? Who knows? A lot of interesting things out there to still unfold. A lot of GOP establishment insiders have set an internal deadline of March 15th. They say that if they have not derailed Trump by March 15th, that it will in all likelihood be over. He would be pretty much a shoe-in to be the nominee. And that would be after the SEC Super Tuesday primary. And you know, I call it the SEC primary. A lot of people call it the SEC primary. Only about half the states on March 1st are actually part of the Southeastern Conference. So I don't know why it got that nickname, but okay, fine. We'll ride with it. I'm in the South. I'm in one of those states. It's fun. Let's have some fun with it. Who cares, right? But anyway, continuing on with Nevada, Trump took 38% of the voters who described themselves as quote unquote very conservative, according to a CNN entrance poll. That was followed by Cruz with 34%, Rubio with 23%, Carson with 4%, and Kasich with 1%. That's about right. That's about where it should shake out. Except that Trump's not a very conservative person, so I don't know what the hell these people are thinking. Anyway, Trump also won 50% of voters who described themselves as quote-unquote somewhat conservative, according to the same entrance poll. That was followed by Rubio with 27%, Cruz with 16%, Kasich with 4%, Carson with 3%. Again, that sounds a little better. Is as wild and harebrained and as idiotic at times as Trump sounds, he's still not my choice. He's never going to be the guy I want in office. I'm sorry, he's just not. That doesn't mean that there aren't good people that support him. And that doesn't mean that he won't surround himself with good people should he be lucky enough to become president. He does have a knack for bringing excellent people on his staff. Just, God, let's hope that's what happens if he happens to win. Trump won 55% of the voters who described themselves as moderate, according to that poll. Wouldn't moderate be somewhat conservative? I don't know. Is there really two levels of squish in the Republican? There may be three. But anyway, that poll was followed by Rubio at 29%, Cruz at 7%, Kasich at 5%, Carson at 4%. Trump did of that group. This is the group that Trump seems to do best with around the country, the lower educated. And he alluded to it, in Nevada. He said he loves the undereducated. He does, because he knows he can baffle them with bullshit and dazzle them with just a spring lock-in step. I mean, they might as well be goose-stepping with their right hand in the air as if saluting Hitler. But among voters with some college but not a degree, Trump took 49%, followed by Cruz and Rubio. I'm sorry, what was that, Mr. Producer?
Nothing. I'm just trying to keep the latency issues under control back here.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know if you were trying to break in or... Cruz and Rubio took 22% apiece, and then Carson and Kasich had 3%. That sounds like a law firm, doesn't it? Carson and Kasich? Kasich and Carson? I don't know. It's almost like a tongue twister. Among voters with college degrees, according to the same poll, Trump took 43%, followed by Rubio with 29%, Cruz with 20%, Carson and Kasich with 4%. 37%, with Rubio getting 31, Cruz 21, Carson 6, and Kasich 4. So it seems like the more educated folks are, the less they lean towards Trump. And again, that may have something to do with actually having some kind of understanding about involved in the presidency, the socioeconomic, I guess, I don't know, aura that goes with, you're going to be the leader of the free world. Should you really be the jackass that looks like he's wearing Davy Crockett's coonskin hat on your head and telling people that they suck and they're ugly and stupid? I mean, if he wants to be blunt, there are ways to be blunt without being crude. I feel like I do a pretty good job of it at times on Twitter. I can too. It's not my preferred method, but I can go there when I need to. Just whatever. Just be true to yourself, Trump. I get people that are so fed up with politics as usual in DC. I do. I really, really do. It's not going Trump's way is not an effective means of telling the GOP that you're sick of their crap. We have a candidate in this race that said he was going to go to DC and he was going to fight on certain topics, immigration, abortion, among others. He has gone there, he has filibustered, he has presented legislation, he's been turned upon by his own party. They call him a wacko bird. If you're really sick of McConnell and Ryan and Boehner and that whole lot, what better way to just really yank their chain than to vote for Ted Cruz, who they can't stand? This is the one thing. I don't like the way Trump uses it, but he's right. They don't like Ted Cruz. Why don't they like Ted Cruz? Because Ted Cruz doesn't like politics as usual. Because Ted Cruz understands the angst of the people, and he understands the Constitution, and he understands how to get things done that meet both of those requirements. Trump doesn't care about the Constitution. He really doesn't. I would be willing to bet you that if you sat down and asked Trump to talk about the Constitution, he could probably be good for, I'm going to give him 4 bullet points out of the entire Constitution. And that's probably going to come after some prep. If you hit him cold, 2 to 3 tops. He just simply doesn't care. This is a man whose ego is in control of everything else. Okay? His brain doesn't run his ego. His ego runs his brain. I don't care that he's funding his own campaign in a way that almost kind of bothers me. I mean, sure, we've got politicians that take money from donor class and they quote unquote are beholden to their donors. What do you do with a guy who doesn't care about the Constitution, What do you do with a guy that doesn't know how to take no for an answer? What do you do with a guy who gets stompy pants angry anytime somebody tells him he can't have his way? Yeah, I know. It's just like Obama, right? Exactly. Exactly like Obama. Now, is Trump going to be different on some issues than Obama? Of course he is. Of course he is. If Trump goes to D.C. and he continues this socialism crap that's going on right now that Hillary and Bernie are trying to outdo each other with, in turn to outdo Obama, with the giving away of other people's wealth, it's quite simple that there will be crackpots climbing the fence at the White House. There will be crackpots taking crack shots, trying to end Trump's presidency early. We're going to have to see how this all plays out. I mean, I don't wish bad things on Trump. I really don't. I just want him to lose because I want Cruz. Now, what happens if Trump wins the nomination? I've had some people tell me they're going to go to the poll, they're going to hold their nose, and they're going to throw the switch for Trump. And I understand that. I really, really do. I've had people tell me they simply can't do it, that they absolutely cannot stomach to vote for Trump. And I get that too. I do understand it. Folks, before I ever came to Twitter, I had a Facebook page, The Conservative Curmudgeon. It's still out there if you want to go look. It's still somewhat active, not like it used to be, but I do still update it a couple of times a week. I have always held, and you can go back, Mr. Producer probably knows better than I do when I started the page. I think it was 2011, late 2011, early 2012, something like that.
November 2011.
And you can see that I have contended, and I will not be a hypocrite, even for my own convenience, I won't. I have always contended that it is easier once the primaries are done and your candidates are selected, whether it was your candidate or not your candidate. As a conservative, it is easier to get part of your conservative agenda forwarded with somebody who believes in at least part of what you're pushing, as opposed to trying to get a conservative agenda with somebody that is the complete antithesis of what you believe and the agenda you are pushing. That in mind, I am afraid that I will have to also hold my nose and pull the lever. I won't like it. I won't like it until he proves me wrong. I'm not going to like it. We had an interesting chat in a small group on Twitter today. The name of Scott Walker came up, and God bless Governor Walker. You know, you peaked too early. You torched through money quickly. I don't know what your campaign staff looked like. I don't know if you were ready for the machines that were going to be coming in against you. I don't know what all the details were and are. I am efforting with Scott Walker's people to try to garner an interview. I understand he's busy, but I'm not letting go of that. I still want to talk to him. I would really love to get some insight on the presidential campaign. But anyway, folks, just do your homework on your candidate. know what you're talking about when you talk about it. And yes, I got your message, Mr. Producer, and I understand completely. I really, really do. I really do. But I can't preach that message and then back out on it myself. So I have to do that. But anyway, research your candidate. Know what you're talking about when you talk about it. Trump has flip-flopped so many issues that he could be worn to the beach. He is a flip-flop. And, you know, at one point, he was for TPP. Now he's against TPP. How long before he's for it again? Maybe once he's in office, he would be for it then, because only he knows better. Nobody else could possibly know what he knows, right? And the arrogance is unreal. Anyway, okay, that's enough of that junk. We're going to move on. We got a topic to talk about here. This great little topic called censorship. And this has really come to a big head on Twitter recently. For those of you out there, for those of you who Facebook, you know, if you follow the conservative curmudgeon, you know, or some of my other friends out there, Politabunny has a Facebook page. Enemies of Liberalism is a great Facebook page if you're a Facebooker. And Rowdy Conservatives is another fantastic conservative Facebook page. All friends of mine. All helped me tremendously and still do. I couldn't do what I do without them. Even though I don't Facebook much anymore, I know that they are at it hard, and I give them as much love and support as I can. Facebook really got after not just conservatives, but a lot of different kinds of posts, and made it very hard to get your reach out there so that your posts would reach maximum audience. They did so because they wanted you to pay to reach maximum audience. So a little bit of censorship on Facebook's part, a different engine for sure than what Twitter does. Twitter formed this new council of theirs, this new safety council, or whatever the hell they want to call it. Basically, it's the free speech Gestapo. They're stifling conservative voices at an alarming rate out there. Our friend Stacey McCain had his account banned because he dared speak out against feminists and feminism, modern feminism, not classical feminism. There is a huge difference. If you don't know it, look it up. I don't have time for that kind of game. But anyway, continuing on that theme, early Tuesday morning, conservative writer Ben Shapiro revealed on Twitter that his planned speech that was scheduled for February 25th at Cal State Los Angeles had been canceled by the university's president. Shapiro was due to speak on the topic of when diversity becomes a problem, which CSULA President William Covino decided should be canceled in favor Young America's Free Foundation's Fred R. Allen Lecture Series. In an email to the Young Americans Foundation, University President Covino wrote, "After careful consideration, I have decided that it will be best for our campus community if we reschedule Ben Shapiro's appearance for a later date so that we can arrange for him to appear as part of a group of speakers with differing viewpoints on diversity. Such an event will be better representative of our university's dedication to the free exchange of ideas and the value of considering multiple viewpoints. So apparently, as an individual, you're not allowed to share your viewpoint on CSULA's campus. But if you're in part of a group with multiple viewpoints, then it's okay. So, we have some censorship going on around the country as well. And right now we are at the bottom of the hour. So before we continue on with this story and get into more of the grisly details of Shapiro getting the boot, we're going to take a little commercial break. And when we come back, we'll wind this up. And we got a few other things to talk about still. So stay tuned. Sit tight. Here we go.
Ain't that America, home of the free, yeah.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry, or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rail. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're still having a little bit of lag issues with the server, but we're kicking. So anyway, when we left off, we were talking about Ben Shapiro getting the boot from California State University at Los Angeles. A press release from the Young Americans Foundation pointed out the hypocrisy of this cancellation. Given their past tolerance for hosting liberal speakers without requiring that a full spectrum of ideas be represented. Contrary to Covino's newfound love for free exchange of ideas and the consideration of multiple viewpoints, his university has hosted a wide variety of radical liberal speakers without ever bothering to ensure the conservative worldview was represented. For example, Dr. Cornel West addressed post-racialism. Aliyah Al-Saji spoke on cultural racism Muslim veiling, embodiment, and the nature of culture. Kimberly Crenshaw addressed Racing to Post-Racialism, Critical Race Theory, Constitutional Law, and Sustaining Communities. Serene Kadir lectured on the topic, Do Muslim Women Really Need Freedom? And of course, big-ass afro-wearing Angela Davis and Tim Wise will address in a video lecture, Exploring Whiteness, this coming Wednesday. Today they did that. But Shapiro can't offer his views. Much like Twitter is shutting people down because the mute button and the block button apparently don't afford enough of a safe space for the thin-skinned, liberal-minded, hairy-legged, hairy-armpitted women that call themselves feminists out there. Now, did Covino go out of his way to ensure students attending any of these events had the opportunity to consider multiple viewpoints? I doubt it. Has he ever canceled other events for failing to meet his standard of inclusivity? I doubt it. The event and CSULA's YAF chapter had earlier been threatened by professors on campus. And despite the cancellation by the university, YAF employees insist that the event is going to happen as planned. I don't know. Is it going to happen on campus? Because I don't see how you can tell the university president what's going to happen on his campus. But anyway, good luck to CSULA's Young Americans Foundation chapter. And good luck to Ben Shapiro. God bless you, Ben, going out there into liberal la-la land to discuss such a hot topic. You are one of the brave ones and one of the bright ones, and love reading your work, Ben. Keep it up. So anyway, yeah. So we got this other issue. Going back to election mode here. So with all the media analysis of the prospects of the candidates in both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, there's remarkably very little discussion about the validity or lack of validity of the arguments these candidates are using. Now, I know what you're saying. That sounds like it's a pretty generic kind of statement, but think about it for a minute. I mean, what it really is a comment on how sad journalism has gotten in this country. Not to mention politics too, but I mean, really, how sad is it that journalists don't even realize the lack of validity in the candidates' arguments? It's as if what matters this election year is the fate of a relative handful of people, currently 7, running for their respective parties' nominations. We can scratch 2 off the list because we know Carson and Kasich are just decorative right now. Meanwhile, the fate of 315 million Americans who are going to be affected by the outcome of this year's elections fades into the background. The fact that Hillary Clinton's election prospects, for example, depend on her ability to get the black vote has been talked about in the media numerous times. But what about the fate of millions of black people and how that will be affected by the way Hillary Clinton is trying to get their vote? Her basic pitch to black voters is that they have all sorts of enemies and that blacks need her to protect them, which she is ready to do if they're willing to vote for her. In short, Hillary's political fate depends on spreading fear and, if possible, paranoia and mobilizing the base that got President Obama put into office to begin with. Similar attempts to get the votes of women are based on conjuring up enemies who are waging a war on women
with Hillary again cast in the role of General George S. Patton, someone willing to come to their rescue if they will just promise to vote for her. In both cases, rhetoric and repetition take place of hard evidence. The closest thing to evidence is that the average income of blacks is not the same as the average income of whites. And the average income of women is not the same as the average income of men. But the average incomes of people in their 20s is usually lower than the average income of people in their 40s, and by a greater amount than the income difference between women and men, or the income difference between blacks and whites. Does that mean that middle-aged people are enemies of young adults? I don't think so. But if you apply Hillary's logic, yeah. Centuries of recorded history, people living up in the mountains have usually been poorer than people living on the land below. Does this mean that the people in the lowlands have somehow been robbing mountain folk? Or does it mean that the circumstances of people living in the mountains have usually been less promising than the circumstances of others? If poverty among blacks is due to whites, why has the poverty rate among black married couples been in single digits every year since 1994, despite far higher poverty rates among other blacks? Do most white employers even know or care which blacks are married? And they might in a small company, but not a big one. When is the imprisonment rate of blacks with a college education, when the imprisonment rate of blacks with a college education is a fraction of the imprisonment rate of other blacks, does that mean that white cops check out the education of blacks before they decide to arrest them? I don't think so. Or does it mean that blacks who have chosen one way of life have very different prospects than those who have chosen a very different way of life, as is true among whites, Asians, Hispanics, and others? Economic differences between men and women are not wholly due to personal choices, since only women have babies and it is usually mothers who take time out of the job market to raise the children. When women work fewer hours per year than men and do not work continuously for as many years as men, how surprised should we be that the sexes have different incomes on average? And that's what we have to realize here. It is an aggregate number that Hillary's arguing against. So anyone who is being serious, as distinguished from being political, would have to take many factors into account before saying that male-female income differences or black-white income differences are due to people with identical qualifications and experience being paid differently. Any number of studies, including studies by female scholars, have shot down the oft-repeated claim that women are paid less than men with identical work qualifications. But that won't stop a Democrat from making the same bogus claim over and over and over all the way to the polls this year. What about blacks, women, or others who believe the political hype? Will that help them improve their lives? What's Obama done for them? What has Barack Obama done for the black community since he's been in office for over 7 years now? Very, very little, if anything. Could this be another counterproductive distraction? Another polarization of society that helps nobody except those who are seeking the votes? Most likely. And as for the media, the lamestream media, they are covering the political contests and not the effects that the lies generated in these contests have on the American people. They have one duty now. It used to be that the duty of a journalist was to deliver the facts. Now,
It's to deliver the ratings. So anyway, think about it. And while you're thinking about it, I need to skip forward in my notes. Bear with me here. We got to talk about Gitmo for a bit. The White House made their big public statement yesterday that they've released a plan that will close Gitmo. This is something Obama campaigned on. This is one of his little legacy building things that he wants to get accomplished before he leaves office. And their idea for closing Gitmo is to bring about 4 to 5 dozen terrorists to mainland United States prisons. You heard me right. There aren't a lot of specifics that have been released just yet. I do know for a fact that 2 of the main facilities they're looking at are in Kansas and Colorado. Their argument would be a lot tougher because the detention that we would have in place would be cleanly in line with American values, said Josh Earnest. That we would ensure that this is consistent with the way that American citizens are treated. That certainly is more consideration than these terrorists give to their adversaries, to say the least. But we would be quite strong, or be on quite strong moral ground to say that these individuals are being treated humanely, that they are that the conditions in which they are detained are safe, clean, and reasonable. And we would be taking away an important propaganda tool that we know that extremist organizations like ISIS capitalize on. Josh Earnest. Wow. Did you really ever think there could be a bigger moron than Jay Carney? Well, they found him. Hello, Josh. At his news conference Tuesday, President Obama said his preferred approach to dealing with terrorists is to try them in Article 3 federal courts, giving them the same constitutional protections enjoyed by ordinary American citizens. You hear that, folks? He wants to treat them like they're American citizens. Well, hell, in his eyes, they are. I mean, really. I mean, once you get them on soil, he's going to probably grant them amnesty and citizenship, get them tax ID numbers, and get them jobs. Who knows? Hell, he probably had them as part of his administration if he can get it done in time. Obama did say that military tribunals would be an option when enemies are detained during battle, but our preferred option and the most effective option for dealing with these terrorists must be our strong, proven federal courts. Now, forgive me if I don't share our Commander-in-Chief's rosy-lensed viewpoint on this subject. These are terrorists. Now, either imprison them somewhere closer to their home in theater over there. We have facilities over there where we hold people. Don't be coy, U.S. government. Okay, I'm not revealing anything classified here. I'm not mentioning where these facilities are. I'm not mentioning how many people man these facilities. But I have seen such facilities. I do know they exist. Why don't we move them there if we need to move them somewhere? Why would you want to bring terrorists, even if it's just 60 of them, into 2 groups of 30 in Kansas and Colorado? Why would you want that on U.S. soil? And if we're going to try them, why do we need them here? Why wouldn't we just try them while they're being detained in Gitmo? Certainly no No problem doing that. Everything can be done via video now. They can have representation according to, war tribunals. It's fine. Let's do this and get them in prison. Let's not just for the terrorists, or let's not have to convert a facility just for terrorists. They have facilities that can hold them that are being manned, and all we're talking about having to do for expenditures at that point are their stupid little jumpsuits and their meals, just like we do any other prisoner we hold internationally, and pretend that we don't, which is okay. I don't have a problem with that. Just an option to think about. Anyway, something else we got to talk about, and we're starting to get tight on time, so I want to get this in. Yesterday, North Korea lashed out and said that an upcoming joint U.S.-South Korean military exercise was unacceptable, and warning it would attack the South and the U.S. mainland in case of any armed provocation. The South and its close U.S. ally, largest ever annual exercise, Seoul's Defense Ministry announced. The North's military supreme command said the Allies plan to practice a beheading operation aimed at the North's leadership and other moves to neutralize its nuclear weapons and missiles. Wow. That's pretty tight. If there were even a slight sign of special forces moving to carry out such operations, the military said, strategic and tactical preemptive attacks would be launched. The primary target would be the South's presidential Blue House, it said in a statement on the official news agency, condemning it as the center for hatching plots for confrontation with the fellow countrymen in the North and reactionary ruling machines. The North also threatened attacks on U.S. bases in the Asian Pacific and on the mainland. It said it has the most powerful and ultra-modern strike means in the world, capable of dealing fatal blows at the U.S. mainland any moment and in any place. Such blows would reduce the cesspool of all evils to ashes, never to rise again on our planet, it added in a reference to the United States. Ooh, so scary. The North habitually claims that the annual Key Resolve Full Eagle exercise is a rehearsal for invasion, while Seoul and Washington say it is purely defensive. Tensions are high right now, and the United Nations considers tougher sanctions against the North to punish it for January's nuclear test and this month's rocket launch. The South, in an unprecedentedly tough move, has shut down a Seoul-financed and jointly run industrial estate in the North, saying it was helping finance its neighbors' military programs. Now, folks, these are two countries that have not liked each other for a while now. And, excuse me, it's not going to get much better. It's really not. The thing is the North has to know that as long as Obama is in office, our military is basically an extension of his limp wrist. So unless he pokes the tiger and pokes it hard, Obama's not going to do anything to the North. Anybody with half a brain can look at Obama and know he is not going to order the military into action against North Korea as an aggressor. I have doubts that he would order the military into action as a defender unless it was just an all-out catastrophic assault on South Korea. And then I'm not sure Obama would act. I'm really not. I don't think he has our allies' best interests in heart. He's proven it time and again.
He doesn't have the best interest of the American people at heart. He's proven that time and again. All right, so boom, 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 boom. Oh, here we go. Tough guy, Paul Ryan. Yeah. Paul Ryan says that Congress is gearing up for legal actions should the president try to break the law. He said President Obama can try to go around Congress in his attempt to close the detention center at Guantanamo Bay. Ryan reminded reporters that Congress voted overwhelmingly for the National Defense Authorization Act, which contains a provision saying the president may not move Guantanamo inmates to U.S. soil. And he is correct in that, and that actually had bipartisan support. We are making legal preparations if the president tries to break that law, said Ryan, and what boggles my mind is that the president is contemplating directing the military to knowingly break the law. Now, this is where a true military leader, I think there are only just a very handful of those left, not many at all, because Obama's fired all the ones that would dare actually stand up and challenge the legality of a presidential order. This is the sad truth of the matter. So our law is really clear. And by the way, Democrats wrote this law when they were in the majority, said Ryan, when they ran Congress, which is these detainees cannot come to American soil. So if the president proceeds with knowingly breaking the law and asking the military to break the law, he will be met with fierce bipartisan opposition in Congress. And we're taking all legal preparations necessary to meet with that resistance. He can't do it because the law is very clear, said Ryan. But the White House on Tuesday refused to rule out executive action. We know how he loves that. Spokesman Josh Earnest was asked multiple focus is going to be on working with Congress. Ernest said the White House is not going to take any of the president's options off of the table, though, and said if Congress would simply give legitimate consideration to the president's plan, that would make any sort of discussion about the president's executive actions obsolete. And that's why we're going to go ahead and continue to put pressure on Congress to do the right thing. Let me tell you something. If they really wanted to do the right thing, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to go on record. I don't really give a damn. If they wanted to do the right thing, they would just buy 60 bullets and put one in the head of each of those terrorists, and that'd be the end of it. Then you could close Gitmo and not have any more worries about where these terrorists are and where they'll pop up again, like in videos in AQAP recruiting videos showing one of the former Gitmo detainees moving into a management position with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Yeah, you think they're using Gitmo as a recording tool? Whatever. So Ernest twice refused to give a yes or no answer to questions about whether Obama can still close Gitmo if Congress fails to approve his plan. Attorney General Loretta Lynch told a House hearing on Wednesday that she expects the Obama administration to work with Congress on the plan to close Guantanamo. Certainly in the light of current statutory framework, we anticipate that this is what will occur, she said. And that, folks, gets us to the top of the hour. It is time to wrap it up. As always, don't take my word for what I'm reporting. Do your own homework. It's out there. It doesn't take a whole lot to look it up and get yourself set right and use your own brain. Don't use mine.
God knows, don't use mine. Anyway, Mr. Producer says that the latency issues might be on my end, and that could very well be. There is no telling what kind of damage up the lines these storms that we had yesterday here along the Gulf Coast caused. I know they are in the Atlanta area right now, raising a ruckus storm-wise and moving up the East Coast. So thank you for bearing with me, and don't forget, as soon as this show ends, you will be able to go over to Altcon Radio, and if you don't know where that is, get on Twitter and jump to @E2Pilot. That's @E2Pilot, and he will have a link posted to the Red Wine Show, where I will be in just a few minutes. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you next Wednesday, and God bless.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag 'cause we're proud and free.
And I think there's supposed to be music here.
There it is. It's playing. For some reason you can't hear it.